Hi, everybody. I'm here with Megan Mikkelsen, and she is a detox. I'm calling her a connoisseur because you know so much about it, about detoxing your life and detoxing your home and detoxing your kids. And I don't know if you have animals, if you can detox them or not. I'm sure you could, but you know, I'm like, how can I detox my husband? He probably wouldn't like that at all. So, Megan, just tell us about what you do and then kind of talk about how you started on this journey. I know it's been like, a long journey for you and just go from there. So,
Yeah. So thanks so much for having me today. I'm happy to
well,
be here.
you're welcome.
So my name is Megan Mikkelsen, and I live in Olympia, Washington. And I have two daughters. They are 15 and almost 12. Sorry, the other way around. My 12-year-old had a birthday yesterday, and my 14-year-old turns 15 next week. So these weeks are kind of busy and crazy for us with two birthdays and also start of school. And they're starting at middle and high school this year. So it's a big
Excitement
year.
for them.
Yeah, lots is going on. So I am here because I help moms detox their homes and daily routines. And the reason why I'm here and so passionate about this is because when my girls were babies, I just learned about how many unsafe products we have in this world and how easy it
Right,
is to unknowingly bring them into our homes.
right,
And really, we have to be vigilant consumers for ourselves because the laws really don't protect us, at least here in America.
right.
And really, corporations are more worried about the bottom line than they are about our health and safety. And so,
Yeah,
what I do is I help make it easy and simple to detox everything from your hair care to your skincare and makeup to your laundry to your cleaning, basically everything. I have a background in public health. I have my master's in public health, and I worked for a state agency focused on preventing disease for 12 years. And then just last
mhm,
year I decided to do this thing full time because it really filled my cup so much more than my full-time job. And
yeah,
let's be honest, with COVID, I wanted more time with my family, and I wanted to be able to meet my daughter's needs when instead of being behind a computer at home in meetings all day long. So it's been such a gift to be able to do this, and I love hearing from people that have, either listen to my podcast or they have bought my online course, and they say, "Oh my gosh, I've detoxed everything." Um, and so it just fills my cup so much.
yeah. I really am surprised that because when I had my oldest, he was diagnosed with ADHD. So I went on this big old journey of not letting him eat, anything with dyes in it,
Mhm.
or processed foods and everything. And it seems like as he got older, I kind of strayed away from that. And I'm thinking, maybe we should go back to that, because he still lives at home. And I'm just so surprised that there's so many chemicals in our foods and our clothes and our product that we use, every day that have like the Roundup stuff, like those bad chemicals that could
Yeah.
like give you cancer.
Right, right.
I mean, so it's just surprising to me how it all is just allowed, because they'll say, well, it's just a little bit,
Right,
Well, yeah, but if you use that every day, I mean, it's just a little
right.
bit every day.
Well, also
And
it's in multiple products too. So even if it's just a little bit in your cleanser, but you're not just using cleanser. You're
Mhm,
using a cleanser, using a body soap, you're using
mhm.
toothpaste, you're using a toner, you're using
Yeah,
your how many steps in your makeup routine, in your lotions, in your deodorants, and then you're washing your clothes in these same chemical, So it's, even though it might be a little bit, how much is a little bit times 100. I mean, that's
Yeah,
a lot.
it is a
So,
lot.
and so they all really do add up. And we know that this is a crazy statistic I like to use because people are shocked by it, but it is true. So when you go to the doctor, one of the questions they ask you is, do you have a family history of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, colon cancer? They ask you all those things, right? Yes,
Yeah,
of course, you always want to tell your doctor these genetic factors you have, but
right.
genetic factors are only 10% of cancer. So
Oh,
90% of cancer is behavioral and environmental.
oh
So,
God.
food we eat, whether you smoke or not, but
Yeah.
also a lot of the things that you put on your body or the products you use in your home, they can be, that's where cancer is happening these days.
That's just so amazing to even think about that. 90% is outside forces,
Right.
Um, so along with that, did so I know, cancer is like a big word, but is there like, have you noticed that since you detox that, like you don't have colds or you don't have allergies, or
Mhm.
are those worse? Are those better? I
Yeah.
mean, how
Yeah.
does that play into
Yeah.
all this?
So it is so much more than just cancer. So asthma, allergies, um,
Hmm.
just for me, my skin, I don't have hormonal like breakouts anymore since I detoxed my entire care routine. And if you think about it, a lot of these products have chemicals that are called hormone disruptors within them. And our hormone system runs our entire organ system, it's key in our body. And so many of these products that we normally put on our face and use many times a day, they actually have hormone disruptor chemicals within the product, within
Oh,
that chemical.
okay.
So no wonder my face would break out once a month. So
I
I already
know.
have my internal hormones that were messing with my skin. Add on some additional chemicals that are messing with my hormones. Of course, I'm going to break out. So, there can be even
Yeah.
small things like that and then bigger things. So, I'll tell a story about my friend Brooke. And
Okay.
when I started on this journey a few years ago, I definitely was a little bit more, let's say I wasn't as sweet and nice about giving people the time to accept it. And I was like, I might have shoved it down people's throats a little bit too much. And with this one friend, she was
That's
like,
just being passionate.
yeah, I was really passionate. So I would tell her, you got to get rid of those fragrances. You really shouldn't be using those candles. I can smell your laundry from, 3 doors down. You really need to switch this stuff out. And she was like, nope, I love my scents. I love my pine sol on my floors. I'm not going to do it. But
Yeah.
slowly but surely, she
Hmm.
ended up embracing it. And before she switched out everything, we used to run together and we'd meet in the mornings. And there's one thing she had to have with her at all times, and that was her inhaler. And for her runs, she had to have her inhaler with her.
Right.
And she used it almost every single day. And then she just, she finally accepted it and she switched out all her products.
Uh-huh.
Now she does not need her inhaler at all.
Oh my
And that was
goodness.
the
That's
only change that she's made. No changes in medications or anything. She just simply stopped the fragrances. She cleaned out all of her products. And now she doesn't have to carry that inhaler with her anymore.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's almost like God come down and went, oop, you're
Yeah.
healed.
I know. Can you imagine? Or if you have like eczema or some other rash that's
Yeah.
just irritating that keeps you up at night when you're itching, it can be so simple to just switch out your products and then never
Yeah.
have to have that issue ever again.
Oh my gosh. This is like a dream come true. I'm like, okay, what do I start with? So I know we talked before, but so you said you think the best thing to start with is like your laundry because
Yeah.
that's like the biggest part.
Yep. Yeah. So I have an online course that really walks people through detoxing their entire home, top to bottom. And within that course, I start with the laundry room too, because There's usually not very many things you use in your laundry routine, right? There's usually the detergent, some sort of whitener if you use that, a fabric softener, and maybe a stain killer, fighter or something. So 4
Mhm.
products. It's not that intense, right?
Right.
And so it's a really great place to start. So it's not as overwhelming.
Uh-huh.
And we wear our clothes all day long. As we
Mhm.
know, for example, fabric softener, it actually coats our clothing to make it soft.
Yeah.
And so that stuff stays in our clothing. And we wear our clothes all day long. It lays on our skin. And depending on the size of the molecule of those chemicals, it does get absorbed into our bloodstream. Then we go to bed and we sleep in our sheets and we, have our blankets on us and everything. And that's covering like 99% of our body. And
Yeah.
those chemicals are, our skin is touching those chemicals all day and all night. And so I think it's a really important place to start. Plus, it's just a little less overwhelming.
Right. Wow, that's just amazing. Um, so what do you do about cleaning? Like I've been having all these questions, like, you got a stain on the floor and you can't get it up, so I mean, sometimes it's like, well, I need that super duper stuff
Yeah.
with all the chemicals in it to get it out.
Yeah. I think you'll find that a lot of those super duper things, like you said, for the most part, we've been marketed to think that we need one specific product for one function, just
Hmm.
because that's the way our system works, right?
Yeah.
If you've gone down the shopping aisle since in the past 30 years,
Yeah.
these companies come out with new products multiple times a year. Do we
Yeah.
need all of those products? No. So
Hmm.
oftentimes we can find, much less expensive and much
Hmm.
safer products to solve your problems. Like, for
Right.
example, we have dogs and we do let our dogs get on our couch because we love to cuddle them. Well,
Oh,
one of the
we do
best ways to get rid of the scent from a dog or an animal is to just sprinkle baking soda on that couch and vacuum it up.
too.
You
Yeah.
don't need Febreze, which is full
Right.
of fragrance chemicals so
That's
it's
stuff that my grandma used, that my grandma would
exactly.
use. Like, why, I did quit using bleach like a long time ago. Like I use white vinegar now,
Yep.
and I don't miss bleach at all because let me tell you, my family doesn't miss bleach either because I was I would get it all over the place and people be walking around with spots all over their clothes.
Yeah,
So
it
I'm gonna
ruins
use
things.
that laundry again, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
So
so
now,
really, there are so many ways to go just back to the basics and find
mhm.
things that are, more simple, less expensive, and just don't have as many chemicals. And often, like I also have an online store where I have curated all of my favorite products, the ones that I know work and also are safe. And so, like in my store, I have this spray, and it's a multi-purpose spray,
Mhm.
and it works excellent on glass. Most people think, oh, I need a glass cleaner to clean my glass and
Uh,
mirrors. You
yeah,
don't. You
no.
can just use the all purpose spray that you use for your countertops. So it's also just kind of easier and more simple to have fewer
Right.
things.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
So what about, what about essential oils?
Mhm.
People have, I mean, I know some of them aren't 100% pure or whatever. I mean, is some of that involved with your product that you have?
So I don't sell essential oils. I do use some, but honestly, they kind of overwhelm me. So I'd rather, like, I know some essential oils experts. So if I ever had specific questions, I would ask them.
Right.
But some of the products that I use do have essential oils in them.
Okay.
So that's what they use for scent within the
Okay.
products instead of a fragrance.
Right.
I do encourage people, if you like a scent for your laundry, that you can put some essential oils on a washcloth and throw it in the
Yeah.
dryer. But other than that, I don't sell them. I don't talk about them a whole lot, but like I know that the laundry detergent I have, that's where the scent comes from, is essential oils instead of
Gotcha.
fragrance.
Okay. So, so I know you're married, you have your daughters. I mean, when you started down this journey, I mean, did your husband think like, okay, what in the world are you doing to us, you know? Or was he like, yay, I'm glad you're doing this? You know, what
Um,
was their reaction to, I mean, do they think it's just, well, this is just our normal life?
mhm,
How do they explain it to people outside the family,
mhm.
that,
Yeah,
you guys live like this, or not
right.
like this, but, you
Yeah,
decide
a
to
little
live
different.
differently. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I get it. Well, I think, I was really invested in my health ever since I met my husband,
right.
and also his mom had breast cancer, when he was younger, and so he watched her go through that treatment, and she did a lot of, different kinds of treatment, in addition to her chemo. So she did, like, meditation and diet and stuff like that. So I think he already was, on board for the health stuff,
Oh,
and we kind of, even when we first started dating, we would go to the gym together, and so health has always been something that we've kind of prioritized.
yeah.
Um, but, I think maybe in the beginning he was kinda like, "Oh gosh, what's this?" Because I've been one of those people that, like, along with, products, I've always had different ways I've eaten, what's the is it Whole30 or is it paleo or whatever? I've kind of
Yeah.
gone through those fads too, and he's
Right.
kind of watched me do that. But this stuff, I think he was just pretty much on board. My
Uh-huh.
daughters, I think I started them so young that they
They
have
don't think,
embraced it.
yeah.
Especially being teen girls, like if you go to, Claire's or something, like that
Uh-huh.
makeup, a lot of times that makeup has been, recalled because it has asbestos in it or lead or things like that.
Right.
So I always start with like an educational mind first, so I explain why I don't allow things in the house, or well, I will tell them like, can you smell how strong that is scented? That's because it's scented with chemicals. It's not
Yeah.
coming from nature. So we'll talk about
Right.
those sorts of things,
Right.
and they're just really good girls, and
Yeah.
they are very accepting, and I allow them to have like the makeup that I know is safe. Like I
Oh
allow
yeah.
them to have that, and it's
Yeah. So
nicer and
they
better
don't feel
stuff.
like they're missing out on anything,
Right.
at all. Yeah.
And like my
Well,
daughter who's turning 15, she still has pimples and stuff, but I will say that
uh-huh.
her skin looks a lot better than
Yeah.
a lot of the other teens that are using
Yeah.
the other stuff. So
Mhm. Well, that's so interesting because, I mean, you know how kids are. They're like, wow, your mom, she's got you in a cult or something. I don't know what they'll say, but it, they're probably like, no, we're living a way better life than y'all.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. And we focus a lot on just like taking care of the earth and recycling and being
yeah,
eco-friendly. And so, and it is a little bit where we live. I mean, that's kind of more the norm in the Northwest than a lot of
right.
places.
Yeah.
But I think, coming from this place of like, we have to be stewards of the earth and take care of where we live,
Mhm.
because it's not going to be around forever if we keep
No.
abusing it. Yeah, and I think that really like, that's popular with teens now too. So, just
Yeah.
depending on it makes it important to them.
Well, I I really enjoy, how you approach it, and just being educational about it and being proactive. And I mean, there is so much that we can do to help ourselves,
Mhm.
instead of just like, I'm going to go to the doctor, and, because there's so much that we could just do around here. I'm looking at my desk and I'm like seeing so many things here, like, oh Lord, if Megan saw this, she'd be like, you better get rid of that, or whatever. So, so out of detoxing, I mean, I know that you like, making people feel better, but for your own self, what is the number one thing that, as that you have benefited from, personally, like,
Mhm.
was there something like you were sick and then you decided to do this and now you're not, or
Mhm.
whatever, I can't think of anything that would.
I would say like, um I mean, my skin, I think that's a pretty big one, just not having breakouts anymore. Like
Yeah,
literally, I will get my time of the month and I will be shocked that it's already that time because I
yeah,
have zero skin issues. I mean, completely clear skin.
yeah,
And that has never been the case
right,
before. Even when I was using, stuff that I thought was pretty clean and safe, I still would have like a breakout 3 days before my period. So
right.
that
Yeah,
has been really great. But other than that, I would say it's more of a mental load. As a parent, you're always, I mean, I have always been worried that they would get some sort of illness, or
yeah.
worried that there's, just in general for their health.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many things in this world that we can't control, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So we can't
exactly.
necessarily control the air that we breathe unless we're using a filter in our home. We're going to eat food. We're not going to be perfect all the time on the food that we eat.
Right.
We're going to drink water that usually comes from the tap. Most people do that. And so this is my way of, really controlling everything that I can so that
Right.
I am giving them the best options for health for the rest of their life.
Oh,
And
okay.
that has just alleviated a huge weight off of my shoulders as a
Yeah.
mom, and knowing that I'm doing the absolute very best that I can for them.
Well, that's amazing. I really commend you for doing that because that's like a lifelong, thing. I know that's something you probably, sometimes struggled with or whatever. But it just seems like the benefits are so much better. So it just keeps pushing you just to keep doing it and to
Mhm.
keep living that way
Mhm.
and just to, avoid the toxins that we have and just
Mhm.
about everything around here. And I had another question I was going to ask you, and it just slipped my mind. But oh crud, it's going to bug me to death till I remember it. Because you were talking, and I'm like, oh yeah. And but anyway, I know that you put out your podcast about deodorant,
Yes.
and I know we were talking about that in on your Facebook page last week, and I thought for some reason the name that I had, the deodorant I used was Loom, but
Mhm.
actually it's that native.
Yeah.
I did look up some of this stuff on it, and
Mhm.
greenwashing. That's
Yeah.
what I wanted you to
Yeah.
explain to us about the
Yeah.
greenwashing. I knew
Yeah.
I would get back to it eventually, but
Yeah. Yeah. So greenwashing, if you've never heard that term, is when a company markets itself as natural or safe or eco-friendly, when in
Mhm.
reality, those are just the marketing terms they're using.
Yeah,
And this happens all the time. And I remember when I first was going down my toxin-free journey, I would go to the grocery store that had a natural section. And this was a few years ago, where the natural section at a store was kind of unusual. The regular grocery store didn't have that special aisle. So I went to this one store that I knew specifically had a natural section. And I went to that section and I just bought the products in that aisle because I thought, oh, this is going to be safe. Well, not so much. And one of those brands that has been greenwashing people for a long time is Mrs. Meyer's. And that was one of the products that I would bring in my home. And I loved the geranium scent. Now looking back, that scent made me cough. And it's no surprise that every time I sprayed my countertops down with that, it would make me cough. And an example of what Mrs. Meyer's specifically does is on the front of the package, it will say scented with essential oils,
yeah,
botanical, plant-based, all these
yeah.
sorts of things. But if you turn around the package and you read the ingredient label, they do use essential oils, but they sandwich in the term fragrance in between geranium oil and lemon oil. And the reason why fragrance is bad is because fragrance is a proprietary term. And when they use that term, they truly can hide any number of chemicals within that term. So they don't
Mhm.
have to disclose fully disclose or be transparent about what's truly in the product. And some studies have been done on that term fragrance, and they have found that there are sometimes thousands of chemicals within that one term. And
Wow.
so when I look at labels, I do not purchase anything that has the term fragrance on it, because
Right.
I don't want to support a company that's not fully disclosing what they're putting in their products.
Exactly. I mean, when you read fragrance, you're like, oh, it makes it smell good. But technically, they're putting all kinds of things like, oh, well, I've got some of this left over,
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
where the Roundup stuff comes in.
I know, I know. And they could put on the front of the package like phthalate free or paraben free,
Yeah.
but when it has fragrance on there, you don't know that that's true. They could
Right.
really be sneaking anything in there. So that's what greenwashing is. And once you start paying attention to it, you'll see it a lot of places. And
Right.
the only way to really watch out for it and make sure you're not getting greenwashed is to read those ingredient labels and make sure that you feel comfortable with every ingredient that's in that package and bringing
Mhm.
that into your home and using it around your family.
Right. Well, that's amazing. I really am glad you came on here to talk to us about this. And like it just makes me excited that there is something we can do. We can do, and we are in control of this. Like you said, there's some things we can't control, but we can control what comes into our home.
Right.
So, how can people find your website if they
Yeah.
want to check out your product or your course on how to detox their
Yeah.
home?
Yeah. So you can find my website, which has links to everything there, and it's www.detox.design. There's no .com or anything. It's just
It was
detox.design.
very easy to find.
Oh, good, good.
I
And I have a link to the course there. I have a link to my favorite skincare and makeup
uh
products there. I have my online store on there. And I also have my podcast, which you can search. It's called Toxin-Free Talk. And you
uh
can search wherever you listen to podcasts, but you also can read and listen to my podcast on my website too.
Right,
So,
right. I
yeah,
really enjoyed your podcast and the material I've read. I've also um, ordered the laundry stuff. I'm
yeah,
really excited about getting into that. And so if anybody has any questions, it's okay to reach out to you.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can email me at megan@detox.design. You also, if you like Facebook groups, you should join my group. It's called Toxin Free Talk. And I talk about the podcast on there, but there's also lots of other tips in there too. So
Yeah, there is. I really enjoyed being part of that. I'm glad that I've found you through that
yes.
other group, the
Yes.
the Stephanie Gass one.
Yep. Yep.
And I've been learning so much new stuff. My head's about ready to explode with it all. But anyway,
Well, you should do the course too, because then
yeah.
then you won't feel overwhelmed and you'll just take it step by step.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I mean, that is just something I tend to do is like I take on too much, and then I'm like, okay, this is just too much. I can't do all this. But
Yep.
anyway, well, I'm glad that you came on and talked to us, and I hope to have you back again
Yeah.
soon.
I love
So
that. Thank you so much.
thanks, Megan.
Bye.